Okay, we want to call the meeting to order. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Why don't we stand up and do the Pledge of Allegiance and get going here? We do have a flag, see? I know. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, give me the roll call sheet. Oh, it's right here. I got it. For the record, I will send this to you, take a picture and send it to you, Georgia. But we have 7 members of the board on the formal list, and all 7 are here. Lynn, Peter, Michael, Richard, Jim, Louis, and myself. And also Peggy is here, our liaison. So we have more than a quorum, but I don't know if we really are voting on anything. Right now, my intention is I don't know of anything we would vote on. But
well, you got the minutes.
Yes. Where that's the next thing, right?
Correct.
Oh, I got you. I got you, Georgia. You're correct. Does anyone? The next thing. We've done the roll call. We also have, let's see, 1 person online, plus 1, 2, 3, looks like 4 people of the pond group not on the board are here. So in addition to us, I mean, it's off season and there's not as many people around, but like I said, we do have an entire board seated here. Is there anyone that want to make a public comment before we get going? Okay, I guess we don't have any public comments. Okay, we have 2 sets of I think the one from April was delayed, the minutes, but we have 2 sets of minutes here. If anyone would want any changes, otherwise, I'd like a recommendation to accept the minutes from the last 2 meetings.
So moved.
Jim Latham did the motion and Lynn seconded that. So let's vote as a group.
Aye.
7-0 to approve the minutes of the last 2 meetings. I've looked, Laura, can you talk to me a little bit? I looked at the financial. Is that the type of report we will have going forward? That one column that used to exist that would have the, I will call it the contract signed but not billed. Is that column going to be in the future, or do I need to find a way to calculate that column?
I need to find out how to get that number out of the system, because it's not, we're still having some issues from the conversion where not everything is applied towards that. If that makes sense.
But we'll work together, because if you're not supplying that, which I hope you will, if you're not supplying that, we can't, I don't know. I know I don't have 48% of my budget remaining, 48.2% of the budget remaining, because we have allocated money that's in contracts that have been signed that have not been billed. So either you have to find a way to get it, or I have to find a way for our group to be able to calculate that number.
No, I need to find the way to get it. It's the numbers in the system. I just need to make sure that all the purchase orders are actually encumbered. And once I verify that, I'll be able to get the number.
Okay. And I would say maybe I've been a little lazy because of how good you have done and expected that to be part of it. But, you know, there was never no formal thing except the fact that it was in the report.
Yeah, we're working through some formatting issues. I need to learn 2 new pieces of software in order to produce this. So these numbers I took right out of the financials. But I'm looking at trying to reproduce what I was able to give you guys before. Because
I think you realize that 48% remaining budget might be minus 10% because we've already allocated with contracts we signed.
Right.
Okay. That's fine. Thank you. I'll just keep in with you to make sure we're on the same page.
Yep, and I need to get that adjusted too, so that we have it internally for our managers as well. So it's not just you. There's other people that'll benefit from that, but I'm still kind of learning the software.
And I'm just one subgroup too, and there's a couple other subgroups that probably you know, they're not maybe used to the report that we used to have. But
Right.
I mean, maybe they're doing their own calculations.
No, this is the same, I did this, this is the format that PPAC gets and each of the subcommittees will have.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I mean, we're still in good shape. And that reserves at the bottom, Laura, that's there, that 90,000, that's not been integrated in the numbers above, I'm pretty sure.
It is not, that is separate.
But it's, so is the total budget then, when you look at that, is that 90,054 added to the 798?
That's money that you have sitting, it's basically like a savings account. It's not actually part of your budget.
Well, okay, now we moved some money from the reserves earlier into the budget. Is that amounts in the budget now, correct?
It should be, yes.
Okay, because you remember we did that, was that a couple months ago, we did that adjustment
Yep.
of moving, because of Ian, we moved some of that money from the reserves into the budget line items.
Yep.
Okay, I think I reckon that, you know, my mind's not as good as maybe it used to be, but that 798 seems higher than what it was at the beginning of the year. That the reserves is in there. Okay.
Right. Well, no, the reserve, well, yes, sure.
A better way to explain this, Bob, to think of it is, that's your budget.
Right.
798. Okay, and 199, that's your budget. What you went for Ian came out of reserves, it's not part of the budget.
Yeah, it got moved into the budget.
Right.
Correct,
It's now
Laura?
part of your budget. Yeah, it got moved
Yeah,
into the,
Laura moved
it
it
got
into
moved
the
up
budget.
here.
Yeah,
It showed in here.
yeah, she moved it. I mean, it was a formal request we made. Go on,
Would
Laura.
reserves money change a budget? That was the question.
Yeah, it does because there's more money on that line now.
So then that line, okay, because my understanding was, when you take it out of the reserves, you designate it, you spend it. That has nothing to do with the budget. The yearly budget is the yearly budget. And when you go after reserve money, that's additional monies. It should be shown as additional and not influence what the yearly budget is.
I can put I can put a footnote on yours like I did on the one for landscape committee that their budget was initially X dollars, but they transferred from reserves. And now it's this much.
Yeah.
I just don't have that footnote on your budget.
That keeps it clear so that the next year you don't go back and take an inflated budget number and say that's your base, because it really isn't. The base should be the base, should be the base.
The 790,
And the money that was carried over, what we traditionally call carry.
Yep.
That should be the landscape or the pond specific.
right, and that's what the number here, the
That's
90,000.
the 90.
But that 798, just so we're all clear, is the original budget we had in January, plus the transferred reserves over. That's what that 798 is.
Not the non-recollection.
That is, yeah, that
Your
is the
budget at
number.
the beginning of the year was not 798 last October 1st.
No, it was 780 something.
780?
Yeah. And the money was transferred into the, she moved the money.
That's only $18,000.
Right, that's what we moved.
Oh, only 18?
Yeah.
Then I'd like to see that separate. I think it would be beneficial.
It was $20,000. Your budget at the beginning of the year that was
20,000.
adopted last year was 778.
Okay,
And now it's 798. We
Right,
moved 20,000.
So the starting point for next October 1st should be the 778.
Right.
That's the one I'm trying to make,
Wow.
not 798.
I'm just saying that
This,
right now.
just to clarify, Bob, the amount that goes in there is the amount that shows as the budget as far as comparisons goes on what was adopted, which would be the 778.
But the adopted budget doesn't really change, correct?
Correct,
Add money to it, but the budget doesn't.
correct.
Okay. I'm happy.
And it actually went, $20,000 went into the downspouts initiative because that was 258 when it was adopted and now it's 278.
Absorb that money, Xander, and you're sticking it to the.
No, I'm not. I did it. PPAC approved that.
They'll approve anything.
They'll approve anything.
Not really.
All right, George, we can go. I don't know, does anyone have an item I don't have an item for discussion. Pete, did you have an item that was not on the items and reports that you would like to talk about? You had mentioned?
Component 11 signs, I have a report and request.
And what, do you want to talk about the signs?
Well, I wrote it up.
Okay.
I was approached by Jennifer Lewis. Oh, by the way, Peter Audette. I was approached by Jennifer Lewis, KW Management, to request the placement of additional signs in the Palazzo HOA behind the buildings 10780 to 10820 within the conservation area number 11. She's received reports of unauthorized intrusion of the area by residents that are disturbing the foliage floor and cleaning the area for recreational purposes. Piles of dead foliage were present upon inspection of that area, so the activity is positive. I've recommended the addition of 3 restrictive conservation area signs to be placed behind buildings 10760, 10780, and 10820. Gateway Services has approved, pending approval by this committee. I also request the approval of 3 additional pond signs as replacement for damages and missing signs. Recent sign inspections have revealed a significant color shading beginning to appear. I have discovered a spire urethane spray varnish that has exceptional protection from sunlight, rain, and moisture. And I include materials for my request. I request approval for this report and submission of purchase by Gateway for 3 conservation area signs, 3 pond signs, and 3 cans of spire urethane spray. The estimates are included.
And what is total? Because when we do the request, we'll put in the request will include to approve this with a number in there, not to exceed number, a not to exceed number.
You've got it. That's what I gave you.
Is it just when you,
The estimates are included.
okay, well,
Under 10,000.
Oh, like a couple hundred.
okay, not to exceed
Not to exceed
$1,000.
Right.
Okay, do I have a recommendation?
I just have a question. It's Rich Hennessy.
Yes.
You know, I think the idea of putting signs up is great, but if you have signage but no enforcement, I mean, we can put signs anywhere we want saying, don't do this, don't do that. And the residents here, many of them, do whatever they want, park wherever they want, you know, run through the conservation areas whenever they want, because they need the shortcut, because they're.
Fish wherever they want.
Yeah, well, they do that too.
Right
Not
back
me, I
at
don't fish wherever I want. Anyway, I'm just wondering if there's any way of having an enforcement arm of these things that we do, that I know there's a list of violations that you can be fined for, but that probably doesn't apply to
It
this.
absolutely does. We have had residents, to your point, going into the conservation area planting gardens. And that actually happened. And when they are noticed, we get a fine. The community gets fined for that. And then they have to go in and pay to remediate and go back. This would absolutely be part of that process. We could ask the security to change post orders and have them observe it when they go through. And that would be appropriate so that our security people would report it if they saw it. Chances of catching it are slim to none. But if we ever get inspected and we ever get caught, we will be subject to a fine.
Yeah.
Period.
Florida Southwest Water Management just did,
Conservation areas are not to be screwed with at all.
right, and they just did a random on 2 of our conservation areas just a couple months ago, and we passed.
They do come out and check.
Yes, yes. But I don't want, my opinion is, I wouldn't want this group to have anyone responsible for enforcing
Absolutely not.
rules. I mean, that's
not
my,
us, that's not our rule.
Right.
That's a state. But Pete, did your 3 additional signs have the posts too?
Yes.
Include that in there?
Yes.
So, okay.
I've
Pete,
got posts already. I've got back from old post art. That's under problem, just the signs.
But yeah, we do need to let those people know that. And the
Yeah.
golf course went into an area and cleaned it, but that area upon investigation was golf course property and we were allowed it.
I think Jennifer Lewis is involved with, I mean, she's the one that requested the thing. She's the one where residents complained. She will know the rules. The residents that complained, they will know that I would view her, she would be key person in the
Let
structure
her pursue it, right?
to pursue any type of thing that occurs. I just don't want to come back on us.
No, but I think we should put the time.
Yeah, do I have an approval to put for what he wants to do, to put not to exceed $1,000 for his proposal?
I moved to move forward with that.
Second.
Mike Causey was primary on that, and second was Lou Lemare. Can I have a vote of the approval? 7-0 on approval of that. All right. What?
It's another Russian election. Just one more, I mean, to that end, I mean, we're spending a couple $100
Yes.
for signs. I used them up north and they weren't expensive. If we have areas that are constantly being used where they shouldn't be, it doesn't take a large amount of money to put some trail cams mounted on a tree. It records to a little digital card. You take the card out once a month and you look at the recordings, and if somebody's going through there, now you don't need, because like Bob said, well, somebody's got to see it, or,
Right. I think that's a good idea. I will mention it to Jennifer if she wants to put that as part of her plan. Okay?
Yeah, because I used it to hunt and they're fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean,
Who buys and installs?
What? That,
Component number 11?
we will. The group,
We.
I mean,
Component number 11.
well,
Signs.
yeah, well, you've done it last time, right? Where you put the order in through, some of that came through Home Depot and some of
That's
that
my
came from
question.
site.
This request relates to component 11.
Okay. It would be done the same way.
Talk to Laura.
Hmm?
Talk to Laura. That would help.
Where's the fees coming? Is it coming from Home Depot, most of that? And then the signs company? The same sign company we did last time.
The signs come from Fast Signs.
Right.
And the posts and everything else comes from Lowe's.
That's the same as last time, right?
Yes.
Yes,
And we
but
got,
please be sure that you request them and don't just buy them and then send the receipts in for reimbursement. They need to be approved
Right.
before you purchase or order anything.
and it get, and Lowe's bills the district directly, correct? Laura?
No, we have a credit card there. We have an account. So I mean, if you know what we want, we're able to order it online and then we just use our credit card to pay for it. But we don't have they don't send us an invoice. We have to pay for the stuff when we get it.
And was the sign company, did that get paid? Was there a proposal for that, or was that just an invoice?
That was just
You
an
remember?
invoice. That's why I said that needs to be approved ahead of time.
Okay, that could be a proposal first and then the invoice.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So Peter
It's
said-
not like a petty cash fund where you go and buy it and then we pay you back. It needs to be approved first.
Peter, you just send the proposals. to-
I can work on how to do a PO request. I do most of the PO requests for
Well,
the
I'm trying
team.
to get work number one.
Yeah.
just get us.
Yeah, we're happy to order it for you like we did with the garbage can and those other things. We can have the stuff ordered and shipped over there. That's not a problem, but it's just that we need to approve that first to make sure it goes through the proper channels.
Okay,
So
Who will
maintenance
install the
purchase will
signs?
be under me. Is that it?
Unless
Thank you,
you
Rich.
pay for it yourself, then it's good.
Oh, thank you.
Now-
Okay,
Now, who will install and determine where the signs are placed?
me.
So you will dig the holes
Yeah,
and, okay,
no,
For the group's knowledge, this is Bob. As of the 1st of October, the district is staffing a full-time hourly person to do the work of the various subcommittees.
It's
such as-
proposed. This has not been finalized. It is proposed that the district will be having a full-time person there. It's not
Yeah.
final.
It's proposed, but trust me, as of October 1st.
okay.
Sorry, Laura.
Well, we have to hire somebody too. I mean,
Oh, we got one.
okay.
We're gonna hire you.
Okay,
Yeah, in the past though, it would have been Castle,
it
a
was,
maintenance guy
it was.
that installed the signs. You weren't out there digging a hole and putting the sign in.
Yeah, it was with him.
Right,
We
but
did it together.
Okay.
Yeah.
You had a shovel?
Yes.
need moral support.
one of those hole troubles.
Okay,
It looked like a state job. He was leaning on his.
okay, okay.
Yeah, we still have a problem with golf carts parking on preserved property. Right, Bob?
Conservation area.
Is that ours? Is that
That's ours.
on this property? So what do we
So we're
do?
going on the new topic, Lynn? Is this a new item of discussion?
Yeah, well, the other one was approved.
Okay, so we're done with it.
Yes.
All right. Mr. Lemire has brought it to my attention that golf carts park near the bollards on both ends of the boardwalk of the conservation area. I have discussed this with the district's attorney, Tony Pierce, and first of all, the area, the land is ours. Everything from the macadam into the center of the conservation area is district property from a conservation point of view. It is not legal to park there. Just got to figure out a couple of things. How do we discourage people from doing that? Tell them to park over here at the town center area or someplace else on the Sienna side and then walk to where they're going? Or to possibly provide parking for them. By providing parking, one of the options was to fill in part of the pond and build a parking lot. That doesn't sound low cost to me. It sounds very expensive. So at this point in time, we know we have a problem, but we do not have a path forward. Just kind of got to leave it at that for now.
Who owns the problem right now?
Well, it's in the conservation area, so it's fine.
So could we plant, this is paid off, could we plant plants?
Yeah, that's my suggestion.
Or you could put rocks,
Or put large stones.
stones and rocks.
Stones don't work. People move them.
It depends on how,
You'd have to get-
you gotta get big enough that you couldn't move them.
Get huge stones.
Yeah, like the ones they have
Right,
back like.
big landscaping stuff.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want that in your backyard.
Well, that may be the issue too.
It is not something.
Is this another sign that you don't know? that can't park?
This is
Another
This is
sign.
all the result of the ADA compliance and the bump.
Right.
This is now the second leg is falling. And yes, we've done a very poor job of communicating.
Because before this, they would take their cart into the middle and park it there
Right.
and then walk.
Right.
That's how it worked before.
Where the observation.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
And that is still a consideration for the future, but it's not sure. That is still being pursued by the district, but the back burner item until our building is approved. Then they'll take it up.
We're
Okay.
playing nice with everything.
Yes.
Well, for what it's worth, I mean, they have the same issue from where the little outside part of the cafe is over to where the bocce courts and the lawn bowling green is. And they solved that real quick with some stakes with some holes in it, and they just did the rope between it, provided an area to walk through, but it was too narrow for a cart to get through. So now there's nobody parking by where the benches are on the lawn bowling green. They did add additional
Parking.
macadam parking.
Yes, they added
by the
parking.
bocce courts
For golf carts.
for golf carts. So, I mean, it could be that simple to just rope it off.
Well, I understand the people's frustration with having this amenity, this
Not
boardwalk
accessible.
that they can't get to.
Right, correct.
You know, from something that people used to be able to take their golf cart through, and now they can walk it. But now we're taking them a step farther. They have to park almost by the bocce courts. It's the closest parking, golf cart parking at the other end, the parking lot,
Right.
which
It's a
we
long
don't
way
want to
away.
park in there either.
Right, because then you're gonna hear from Sienna.
So, you know, I think we really need to come up with some manner of finding where people, you know, establishing some kind of parking so it can be usable. I mean, we spent a fortune for that, to not have it used at all, because basically, you know, we don't want bicycles on it either. So we're kind of limiting it to not being used at all.
Yes.
If we say that you can't park any place. So the only means you're mentioning is backfilling part of the pond. That's
Well,
the
that's
only
one proposal.
that's,
Well, I think the problem is if you built it in some of the green space around there, like there's green space on this side of the pond. you know, there's, before you go in, that is really part of the preserve.
Well,
And you aren't going to be able to blacktop part of the preserve.
From the edge of the cabin out, we can do pretty much what we want. But from the edge of the cabin in towards the center of the river, there's no flexibility.
So we're saying where we used to have that sign, the big wooden sign that showed pictures of the birds.
Right.
That area
Could be.
is potentially, is theoretically in our control, that we would be able to, I wouldn't say blacktop, and maybe put a, you know, something that the water can soak through, but,
Well,
you know, gravel or something
my
that.
own nickel's worth is to just try and kick this can down the road until the other building is built in 24. And then we'll see how receptive South Florida is. And we may not have to do a thing. Because there is a proposal to allow access from the Sienna side through the observation area to park. Park your car and then walk. from there.
Okay,
That's-
And that's part, who is controlling that request right now?
That right now is between Tony and the district. We have the drawings, we have the proposal. We're looking for the right time to present it to South Florida.
So you're prepared to present it?
Oh, yeah, we're prepared to present.
Okay.
We're just waiting until we have, to the right political moment.
because
So,
that would be a good solution for that end, because there's absolutely no place to.
And you can't go all the way through because we're keeping the bollards on the other end.
at least it gives a place to come in for those people that have limited mobility. The other option, of course, is, like you said, we put this spot by the current kiosk. And you take your spouse or whoever is limited, drop them off at the entrance, you go back to the park.
Right.
That is always an option also.
At least then, we, you know, there is an option, there is a place, you know, boardwalk parking, it'll be used by, for other sites, but, you know, it shows that we're providing access.
We're aware of the problem.
You know, we're aware and we're doing something. So one solution, you know, a potential future is the one coming in from behind Sienna. And what can we do for the other end? Is this something that we have to address? Who do we address it with?
If the Sienna end is open, let's just say if that is ultimately successful, then I would just say they have to ride around the other side of it. I wouldn't give them another entrance.
Because they don't have to walk.
To ride your golf cart
Right,
around the other
right.
end to the park.
And you don't have to walk, but
And then you don't have to walk.
There is room, and I say this with, we don't want to lose any more of our bowling. I'm a lawn bowler.
Right.
We do not want to lose any more of our lawn bowling green as it is. A lot of it's even unusable now because it's just not,
I just
it's
hate-
exceeded its life. However, at the end of the actual green, there's probably a 2 or 3 foot margin that we would keep. But then there's green space where you could do something similar to what you did over here on the side of the bocce's and just blacktop that, similar to what you did for the basketball court. You could probably provide parking for 15 to 20 golf carts. It's a fair walk across both bridges.
Yeah.
But it provides some parking.
I think we'll, Bob, like your suggestion, I think we see what we can do and just on the Sienna side, that will keep the people from parking because they can park even closer. Because they park where you don't want them to park, they still have to walk to get into the preserve. If you're able to get in there from the Sienna side, the people, you know, help your group in Sienna. And the other thing is, we will not do, I don't want to put take away more grass on the other side.
We got enough of that.
And see about the capacity.
What if you guys look at this and make some recommendations? Observations,
Okay.
rather than all shoving up your brains, get some observations from a couple of people. Appoint people like Lou who volunteered already, so you just need 1 or 2 people.
That's what, he won't bring it up again if he volunteers, then it's his line item that we'll talk about.
It's like, it sounds like Jim is interested too.
No.
You know, I can't hear, right?
You don't need to hear, you just need to be able to see.
And right.
Does anyone want to take this side? I think we got the Sienna side being done by Tony and the CDD board to get that approval to be able to bring Sienna, to bring the carts in on that Sienna side into the middle of the boardwalk, okay? let's just not talk about that. That
Right.
won't be part. Is there any recommendation that someone would like to give a recommendation on this side of the thing of where we might be able to put parking?
I'll take a look at it.
Okay? And just so you know, the answer could come back, since you're doing,
Not practical.
it could be the fact that we don't want to do anything.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
a valid
Yeah.
comeback.
No, just options, and options are, you
Options.
know, it
Right.
doesn't, it won't look good. It's not
Right.
what we're looking to do in that area, but, you know.
Right.
just,
And then we
you know,
can
this
take-
is what's possible if we have to do something.
Yeah, and Jim, then we could take your observation, bring it to us here at the board,
Yeah.
and then the observation would become a recommendation. Okay?
Got it.
Or we could do what Peggy said, put bushes along.
Well, now that's probably back to the original problem, is we may need to put bushes in, do we need to recommend put bushes in the interim to prevent people from parking there? Or is there a ramification for not doing anything? While we look at the other,
I got another possible suggestion. Just write a word for our Pelican Reserve newspaper to say that we have a policy that there's no golf cart parking at the two entrances to the reserve. It's a drop off for people with ADA only. Park someplace else. Don't tell them where, just say, don't park there. That's just a drop off.
Okay.
So to your point, that would at least we're making people aware of that. Otherwise.
Right, nobody knows,
and they still.
and they'll still ignore it when
Yeah.
you write it
But
up.
we'll show we did our due
We
diligence.
did it, we did.
So that's probably the best interim step, you know, perhaps, you know, even if there was additional parking, we'd probably have to put plants there anyway. Otherwise, people just use it because it's closer.
Right.
But I think at this
To be honest,
point,
I don't even know if it's planning.
yeah,
I mean, it's
otherwise it
reasonable.
may be
I don't know.
somebody has to come
okay.
and dump big.
Oh,
big
okay,
stone.
here's what we're gonna do. We talked about this for quite a while. Jim's gonna do an observation on this side, okay? And we'll, on the side, since you're the most motivated by this for that area, you come back with a recommendation for the Sienna side, for this area you're so concerned about, okay?
For planting.
What, I didn't know that, you jumped to observation from nowhere. But come back, it might be where you come back with, but look at it and basically come back with an observation. He will come back for an observation on this side. We'll bring it to the overall group and we'll give a recommendation.
I think we ought to put simultaneously, a little word out. about
Okay.
the park.
Okay,
You'll do that?
I'll get with Jennifer, yes.
Can we also get somebody assigned for, planning communication, maybe talks about why we closed down the boardwalk, why we don't park by us? you know.
Have we had no communication with that? I thought we had documentation.
I don't remember, and we just
I
got
don't remember.
put the bollards in, close it.
I will get with Jennifer and we'll come up with a solution for it.
I just think, you know, let's.
I've seen something in writing on it. I just don't know where it was distributed.
Joe Schofield wrote something about. No, say it himself.
All right, hey, hey,
Really? Yeah.
Okay, well, I will look at what is out there, get with Jennifer and come up with a way to do a communication.
Before you know, kind of thing.
Yeah, the more you know.
Okay,
For the NBC.
I just remember seeing that, hey, look, telling us what you can't do. No
Yeah.
reason why.
Yeah. So,
Sorry, Tim.
so I thought this was going to be a shorter meeting. It's a longer meeting.
That's all loose.
Yeah, well,
Thanks, Lou.
Thanks for.
Thanks, Lou.
okay, let's get into the member items. One of the biggest projects that we have going forward is this, the observation of, and of the pond banks, to be able to do some pond bank restoration. This will be our next biggest project that we have, multi-year project. I mean, the downspout initiatives will be ending at next calendar year, budget year. That's been an 8-year project, okay? And it'll be ending. And next year, we will not have a full spend. We will have some money left over from that, and we move that over to bank restoration. Jim Latham has been doing the major work on that from an observation standpoint. I want Jim to just cover a little bit about where we're at. And he's got a big report that has been distributed in the additional items, if you want to see the entire report. How many pages is it, Jim? 50 some pages?
It's a great report.
It's a great report. It's a big report. But just to summarize Jim's observations, why don't you give me a summarization of your observation of the pond that you think we should have, that we have a task authorization with Tetra Tech to take this data, at least what we're talking about, the top problem areas, and prioritize them. But why don't you talk a little bit, and then I will talk what some of our challenges might be.
Okay, so we identified a number of ponds that appear to have a severe enough drop off that it could be construed as a hazard to both people walking by, fishermen, landscaping, and it became apparent after Ian. So instead of contracting out to have all ponds reviewed to try to identify the ones that need the most immediate attention, I walked them all and identified them, put them in this document, and then I reevaluated and looked at just the 2 or 3 that I felt were the worst to send and ask Tetra Tech to prioritize that, so we can proceed with having it ready to be some remediation done in the next winter, in the dry season. All this work would have to be done in the dry season when the ponds are empty. So that has been, purchase order's been issued. They have been contracted to do it. It's in for them to schedule that, in the proper time. So we're trying to find a way of getting this done and identified what needs to be done so we can hit the ground running come December, January, February, when the appropriate season for this work is. Also identified a couple of areas that have very small areas. The first one was where most of the pond has a lot of issues, where it was almost going to be half, 3/4 of the pond was going to need remediation work.
And that's the 3 ponds.
And that was the 3 ponds. There were other locations that had maybe 20-foot sections that were quite bad, where the rest of the pond wasn't that bad. So I identified those separately. Obviously, the financials to do a smaller section is a lot different, and the method of remediation could be different than where it's a pond-wide task. So I have a separate list of a number of those, and it would be with the idea being that they may be able to do one large task and a couple of small tasks to fill in whatever the budget amount that's available is, and we can start chipping away at this. But you kind of need to get this thing moving. We're in July, so we're 6 months from 6-7 months from project start. I know Peter's anxious to see this start. But that's
okay.
where I have.
The challenge we have, just to put things on the table, we have the 3 ponds that we need Tetra Tech. The bigger issue is the entire ponds, those 3 ponds. To get a prioritization of those 3 ponds from Tetra Tech. Here's 3 ponds. Look at the 3. Give us, here's the first one, second one, third one, from a prioritization of how to proceed. If we miss this window, because Tetra Tech is slow to come back with a recommendation. No, I'm just laying it on the table. If we miss the window and miss the dry season, what that means is we've missed a year.
Yeah, go around to another year.
Then you're a year later. We're not talking about next year's budget. We're talking about year 25 budget. So we have a critical window that if we're not able to get the 3 biggest ponds with the 3 biggest challenges prioritized, then what happens is we could be add a year to the thing.
And then it
Are
becomes
they
5
not-
or 6 ponds.
Are they
Yeah.
not responding?
We haven't started nothing.
We've got the task authorization.
We got the task authorization, but no one's, I will,
Laura?
Laura?
Yeah, I'm here.
Does this fall under you or Andrew, or should I take it? To light the fire under Tetra Tech to get this evaluation of these 3 ponds done. Can't be-
I will, I'll follow up. Andrew's on PTO this week.
Okay,
okay.
What are the 3 ponds?
I don't have them.
Oh, okay.
Now, we
okay,
do
thank
have,
you.
we do have one of our members, Al Slicker, who's going to be overseeing
right.
this project in general. You know, so once we get this started, he will be, you know, tracking, verifying it's being done.
I would
what we
think he would
expect.
get engaged with the actual, going to 3 vendors and getting 3 proposals, and like he has done in other projects for us,
Yes.
and work through that process and then help us on the project management standpoint, once we decide what pond we want to do.
So we have the blocks in place.
Yeah.
We just need to get some,
Right.
get the blocks
We
rolling.
we would like,
Light the fire.
we would like to do, I'll tell you,
I'll
Bob,
incentivize.
we would like to do this with Tetra Tech like it's planned right now. But if we view we are going to have problems, what I will do is I will go to 3 vendors and say, here's what we think our 3 worst ponds are. Our observation says these are the worst. Give us a proposal for which pond you think is the worst and go that path. But I don't have a choice. I'm not going to wait
We'll
to
have
20.
an answer by August.
Okay, I'm not waiting to 2025.
We'll have an answer by August. Either they want to do the job.
Or they don't.
Or they don't. It's a simple task.
Okay.
And I know it's a small task.
No,
This is a small task.
It is a
Very
small
important.
task, Bob. It is
Very
small.
important. And it's one of the biggest things we got.
It is our biggest thing.
Yep.
It's our biggest thing in our group.
I thought it was moving forward, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
I thought you did a great job on the report. It was very easy to understand.
How many ponds do we get?
There's signs on this, on these ponds?
Did he look at all of them?
There are signs on
Good.
Yes.
it. Yeah, no changes, good.
And Jim, there is the drop off, that's known as an escarpment. That's
Yeah.
a legal word.
Yeah,
And I don't recall off the top of my head whether it's 9 inches or 12 inches, but there's a standard.
9 inches.
9 inches.
That I must meet.
Reached out to Laura. and-
4 feet, is it?
Yeah, so it's not, all I'm saying is it's not your opinion or mine or.
Correct, correct,
There's a legal definition.
yes.
And then we have to, but it's a health and safety issue, we got to.
All right.
And
I-
the 3 ponds may be small potatoes this year, but if it's 3 ponds this year, maybe it's 3 more next year.
Right.
Maybe it's 3 more.
And what happens is these small areas that he's talking about on the pond with small erosion, it might end up being the one pond has 3 of them. Next year, it might be 5, and you haven't addressed the 3. And just so, Peggy, the minutes that are the update for the PPAC meeting this afternoon has the 3 ponds by number in that document that's part of the additional thing. So those 3 ponds plus the other ponds with the smaller thing he talked about, both of those things are in that document that will be part for you at the meeting this afternoon.
And this group has always been very cost conscious, not to say Gateway, that they spent 18 million, they're probably gonna end up with 26 by the time we got $26 million.
Yeah.
Fix the bond. So I encourage us to keep doing it the way we're doing it.
Because everybody in here is the one who's paying for it.
Yeah,
It's
this
our
is-
money.
this
This is our
is-
money, it's not somebody
This
else's.
is a proactive approach. And just so you know, because someone might say it to you, well, I thought you did the downspout initiative to eliminate erosion, okay? So that could be. On the newer ponds we're talking about, the downspout initiative is just completing in that area. Now, it's not 8 years ago when we started in under ponds. These are new Pelican ponds that we're talking about. So I just, because someone might say that.
Now, a
And so
prime
you know,
example Is 2 of the ponds that we identified in that report that had a lot of degradation due to not having the bubblers extended into the
Right.
ponds. And they have
Yeah.
those purchase orders to address those.
yeah, we
now.
have those already, the purchase orders are all being
There's a-
released.
it was a real eye opener showing you what happens
If you
when
don't have that.
it doesn't, when it isn't extended into the pond.
When you don't have littorals.
You know, yes.
We have none.
Yeah.
Can we get a list of some of those ponds? Have you
It's
been?
all on
It's-
the- it's in the beginning of the report.
The
There's a couple
55
of-
pages, there's 55-page report that's online. If,
It's on the beginning.
It's an easy read, though.
But most of them is page by pond, but in the beginning, there's a couple of pages that show, list all the ones that are big, all the ones that are little, and it lists all the pond numbers.
Yeah.
And then if you look at the pond, it'll show where it was observed.
That's on the ponds website.
Is it- we have a
yeah,
website?
no, it's not the, it's the CDD Gateway. If you go in there, go CDD Gateway website and you scroll down, you will see the ponds group this group that we're in right now, this meeting is in there. It's got one link to the agenda.
It's on the screen.
Yeah, there it is.
That's the report. I'm talking about how to get the report.
Oh,
And then to the right of the agenda is the items that you can download. That's where it is.
That's complicated for me.
Thank you for putting that
At
up.
my age.
get your grandchildren help.
Yeah.
All right. The next thing is the weirs. This might be the last time we meet on. Or talk about that? What?
Did we include Ravenna on the downspout? That was discussed last meeting?
Yes, that will come up at the end. We approved, we didn't just discuss it.
Okay.
We approved that.
Okay.
And that will be the next, after we complete the current downspout initiative, that will come at the end.
Okay.
Right at the plaza.
Right. Right. Okay, Mike, just any quick
Yeah,
comment?
well, I talked to Stephen Agape last week and, well, the week before last. And last week, I think it was, they had their walkthrough with the contractor. And the only things apparently noted were there will be still replacing some sod that has died. And they will be doing a little bit more excavation around the Weir Pond 38, just to make sure there's enough clearance under the skimmer that they put around it.
Right.
Because you have to have enough water flow underneath that to be able to get into the weir.
Yeah, the
So-
sediment is right at the bottom of it.
Yeah.
Right, that's my concern on that project is that it won't build up. And I don't know if it will or it won't until we, I guess, observe it. So there may have to in the future be some kind of modification to allow a permanent clearance there. We'll
Because
see.
if the sediment rolled into the weir and the pipes, it'd just clog them.
Right.
So
Now, what would you, Mike, what definition of the status of where we're at? Is it sort of like a punch list to get the thing approved?
I think it's, well, I think from a construction standpoint, it's basically done.
Right.
As far as, the performance of the weirs themselves. The rest of it, I think, is just cleanup and landscaping.
Okay.
And what's the attitude of the people around?
I have not heard anything,
We-
other than the fact that I do play golf with one guy that said he's just happy that the sod is down.
They're happy the sod's down. They're happy they don't have those big metal thing that they built to keep the water out.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the people would like you to do a major, plant pygmy palms and all this type of stuff. They spend thousands of dollars. Elle came back with a recommendation to plant some plants. She has a plan to help reduce the appearance of the weir. When you look at it, it's not much different than was there before. They're on the, you got the big weir that's there. I call it the dam. The dams there is far more visible than the small adjustable weir that's off to the side.
My phone has stopped ringing.
Huh?
I got a lot of calls.
Yeah.
But
My phone has
just
stopped.
stop ringing.
I'm
Okay,
not getting complaints.
the thing about doing additional landscaping is I don't think a lot of that area is irrigated. And I don't know
No,
what
it's not
good-
as simple as planting some.
Right, I mean, they would have
Yeah.
to do an irrigation project to be able
And
to.
I've told the homeowners on the other side, which were the ones that were the most vocal, the Carina side.
Carina side.
Carina side were the vocal ones. I said, okay, we'll plant littorals across the whole base. So you don't even see it on your side. I said, the only thing is you won't see the water either.
Right.
And they said, we don't want that. We want to see the water. You know, so I think we have a solution that's workable. The noise level is down low and we go with whatever Elle is doing from some landscaping and she's controlling that. She's using the budget there. So I'm fine where we're at right now.
Quick question is, Weir 2 near Pond 2?
No,
Pond two is-
Weir 2 is a tree line and, the exit of the subway schools. Weir 3 is in Carina. Weir 4 is over in Gateway.
Where two is where the iguanas were on the,
Yes.
yeah, we're on the
Weir
top
1
of,
is at I-75.
right,
We're one is not in our property.
yeah.
We're two between.
We're one is,
Pond 2
it's
is-
where the flowway empties into the 6 Mile
Yeah.
Slough. 2 is at, here in 6.
They just walk away by 75.
Yeah.
75 is 1 and 2 and 3.
I will, I'm going to exaggerate a little, but I like to at least recognize Mike and Bob for all their effort to get this adjustable weirs done. It seems like it's been a 10-year, that's exaggeration, a 10-year effort. But when you think about it, this started with Irma. And we actually.
Before I was involved. it
Right,
started,
before,
yeah.
right. And a lot of work has been done by a lot of people to get to this point. It's not I guarantee there will be no flooding ever again. It's not that type of thing. It's the type of thing that we've significantly reduced the probability of flooding in the future.
Hope so, yeah.
No,
We spent $1.5 million to
I mean,
get permission to do it.
significantly reduced doesn't mean zero. So you use the word hopefully, I mean, that's sort of like in that significantly reduced.
The construction road from Gateway to us, the product, was another typical example of politics in this part of the world. That took 2 years and everybody agreed with it.
All right. I'll just give a little update on the drainage. We're right now on our last pond for this year, Pond 56 in Prado. We have 3 smaller contracts for the different sections of the pond. Things are going good. And we will start this. We have $187,000 projected in the budget for next year. We have 4 contracts that will complete all of this, except for Ravenna, will complete all of the current planned projects.
How many
And
pounds are there?
what?
How many pounds are there?
I think 3, but 4 contracts. And right now, all those contracts together is 187.
And this is just
Most of it's
clearing it, or
custodial.
is it
It's done.
inspection?
This is to install it.
Oh, installing storm drains
Right.
from the street into the pond?
No, from the middle and the rear into the pond.
Oh, okay, right, where they had.
Right, right.
Are they working on that? Are they out there?
Yeah,
They're doing 3 houses a day.
and it's hot.
I just like to-
It's hot. It's hot. It's hot. They work through the
They're
heat.
moving though.
I know they are. That's how they make money. The only other thing is if you know a homeowner, I dealt with, what's his name? It's Mike's last name for the HOA president for Solera. It doesn't matter his last name. Solera. But he came to me because they're missing some of those grates on top of the bubblers. And I got 12 of them, used ones from Scott. But as it turned out, and Scott said a new one would cost $40. Well, I went to Amazon, as Mike did too, from Solera, and they were $17 for the 12 by 12 grate. $17. It was black. It was new. So I ordered out of my own pocket. I ordered 2 of them, 30 some dollars. They're the same. Same.
The holes, the screw holes lined up?
Screw holes, same NDS, the same vendor. They're identical. But he doesn't
That's
buy,
good to know.
the reason I brought it up is because, and Mike said, I wouldn't even came for it to you if I knew it was only $17 to get a new one.
Yeah.
That's why I brought it up, is some of you might, because what we don't want is someone to step in a hole because there's no grate
Broken ankle.
and broken ankle.
Now, if you could send that link, that may be useful, even if the local HOA boards are aware,
Right.
because.
Yeah, you're
Every
right.
now and then the water backs it up and it goes down, and we'll probably find them in the ponds after the
Right.
storm.
Right.
But, they should be, I don't know who, but somehow the screws are backing out. then the
They're
lawnmowers
stainless
hit 'em.
steel 2-inch screws. I got all the specs for those things. I might ask Mike to send it to his fellow HO, because he's taken the initiative.
Yeah, that's a great idea. We ought to do
It's more than a
Why
great
would we go
idea.
there?
Because it is the homeowner's responsibility, and if
They don't
if
realize
it's cheap,
Well,
they may just make it go away.
But-
most of us don't walk around.
Yeah.
Even though it's broken.
But
That's true.
I'm serious.
Rich, they might not recognize it, but Solera has already got their landscaper in their contract to trim the boxes, the grass.
Yeah.
And keep the grass from growing over the top. That's the main thing the maintenance is, and they're doing it.
Product is not.
Right.
The landscape, but the HOA usually has a landscape committee member who does walks, and they may be the ones who will twist an ankle or may.
But another great idea that puts out there all the residents to say.
It's only $17 to keep someone from breaking it.
But also have a landscaper,
Yeah. There's quite a few of the HOAs that the landscaper is trimming, even in Avila, they trim those boxes.
well, that's great.
The boxes don't work, but they trim them.
Well, we also gotta put that pride in that the HOA's gotta clean.
Yeah. And one of the presidents, I presented that and then sent a note to all the presidents that was their responsibility. I only had one that came back negative of all the HOAs.
Yeah, we're doing it now.
Yeah. And he came back negative, not that he said he wasn't going to do it, but I have no authority to tell those guys what their board needs to do. I mean, that was his comment.
And
By the way, I didn't reply.
I will say on a number of homes, probably most of them on Fontanella and Prado, the bubbler for the front is between the planting beds on either side of the garage. And what happens when you get heavy rain, it backs up. Now, all of the mulch is floating, and when the water goes down, the mulch goes through the grate, and then it's clogged.
Yeah.
So, trimming around it really doesn't accomplish anything, because the grade's gotta come up and somebody's gotta get in there.
But the trim around prevents the grapes from being creeped over by grass.
Yeah,
Like the old ones used to.
Right, because this spidery grass would
Yeah.
cover them up, you wouldn't even know you had it.
Yeah.
No, we had neighbors who didn't.
But when the virus comes, all the grass will
Yeah.
die anyway.
Okay. The last,
We're so optimistic.
I apologize because it means it's going to take a couple extra minutes. We can now cover, Pete, where we're at from what they've done with the inspections of the storm drains and what the next step is in the fall proposals.
As of this report, Extreme Divers has completed the probe inspections of all Pelican Preserve storm drainage structures, which included 482 street and golf course border structures in 4 Pelican zones, A, B, C, and D, at a cost of $8,640. Upon receipt and review of the inspection report, a schedule of cleaning will be developed for the cleaning of one zone per year on a 4-year cycle, beginning with the oldest zone previously cleaned. With the beginning of this rainy season, early report of street flooding after heavy rains have been reported. These areas will be required immediate attention. Similar considerations will be made for other zones when or if problems occur before their time in the cycle. Extreme Divers has initiated an additional project in Pelican Preserve, mainly the inspection by ROV of the interconnecting pipe system of all Pelican retention ponds, which includes an estimated 20,000 plus linear feet of reinforced concrete pipe with sizes ranging from 18 inches to 54 inches at a cost of $59,550. Once again, the inspection report is completed. Once the inspection report is completed and submitted, the schedule for cleaning will be established.
So where we're at is that they've done the inspection,
All Pelican is done.
but they haven't supplied the report.
No, they're waiting to finish the.
And then we'll go with the worst, the ones that need addressed, that will be a contract that we'll start with. Okay? And
Is that
it-
budgeted for next year then?
yes, it is.
Out of curiosity, where are the 54-inch?
Yeah, right.
Under tree line, behind Winn-Dixie is a pair of them.
Okay.
At tree line and school's another pair. There's not a lot.
Okay.
54 is as big as it
There you
is.
go, that's pretty.
You can almost walk through it.
Yeah.
And
They do.
And just so we're all on the same page, once he gets the report, he'll give the observations back to us. We'll make a recommendation with a proposal that will go to PPAC, and then that will go to the CDD board to approve the cleaning of the drains. And the same thing, the same process will go with the interconnect pipes.
Then the question, there is a GIS map
Yes.
on our website that will tell you the size of every pipe, the length of every pipe. It's all there.
You
Yeah.
filter it in, you click it, and it brings you all the information
We got more.
you ever want to know.
Okay,
That's what I'm-
that's the last thing here. Georgia or Laura, whoever is there,
Hey, Doug,
what?
just a question. Last time we discussed increasing the fishing areas.
Right.
Or is anything,
Nothing's come back.
who?
I have the task and I'm working with members of the Castaways Fishing Club and we're marking ponds. We're, trying to see how, what the entire frontage on the pond is,
Right.
allowing for, 50 feet from
Yeah.
this house and 50 feet from that house to see what we have. And then,
So you know what to ask.
right,
Right.
I
Right.
promised to report by the end of the summer.
Okay,
Okay, our next, right now, unless something comes up, we need to have a vote on something. My view is our next meeting will be October 12th, which is when most people are back from, you're gone on vacation. That's okay. That's okay.
We might be gone too.
Okay, that's okay. Yes.
Just before you adjourn.
I'm, okay.
Information only. The Prado community is having some issues with Lennar about drainage. Some of the drainage is sidewalks and
I know.
driveways. Other drainage issues are impacted by us, their rear house, rear yard drainage. And then some of the issues are that the developer didn't put in the in-ground drainage system
Mhm.
that he should have, downspout issue that he should have. So it's all being addressed by the district. The carrot is that we need to work done. The stick is we're holding up $700 and some thousand of a performance bond until they get it. So I just wanted to make sure you guys are aware of it. If you hear about it, it is an ongoing process. The district has withheld funds from Lennar. Tetra Tech has got the task. They went out and inspected every single home to see if they conform to the permit criteria manual. They developed a list from that. We're taking that list and supplementing it with the homeowners list of I have water standing in my driveway or my sidewalk, etc. Just information for you to be aware of.
Okay. I believe, I'm thinking of maybe 5 items, agenda items for the next meeting. I think Jim will continue, hopefully we'll have some data back from Tetra Tech at that meeting. Maybe we will have the inspection report with recommendations and proposals, so we can vote on that. We will have what Lou and what Jim is looking at from the parking, okay, around the boardwalk. We will have with fishing with Rich. And I think the other thing we'll do is maybe it's been long enough, we might be able to get some aeration power type of data over a longer period of time to look at that. And the thing is right now, a big power consumption thing is the big fountains, because they're not on a separate circuit. So we pay for those big fountains that are on these ponds around here because they're not on a separate circuit.
Well, we need to get that changed.
That's not a small task.
That
The-
needs to be changed. That's HOA.
That's the Master Association, right, right.
And then don't forget my signs around the mirrors.
Yeah, yeah.
Somebody got that?
All right,
The
So-
next meeting is when did you say?
October 12th. Now, something might come up and we have to change to make it earlier. If, if Tetra Tech comes back with a report and we need to start that process and need a vote, then we'll do an earlier meeting. It might just be the board and not additional members.
Just 20-minute meeting.
It's just for the board to look at a recommendation from the board. But we've had good luck. Guys, one of the easiest things of this subcommittee is the number of people that show up. We've never not had a quorum. That is, you think that's a minor thing. Bob, you know it's not a minor thing.
Absolutely.
And you look at right now, we have 7 members here, plus our liaison. What more can you have? None.
But in fairness to the other committees, your point is well taken, they're still relatively.
No, I'm just,
Landscaping is now beyond that.
but I'm just giving the credit.
Give them that, absolutely.
The credit's due there.
Thank you.
All right. Do I have a recommendation or a request to adjourn?
Second.
Okay. Richard was primary and secondary was Pete, and a vote,
All right.
7-0. Every vote's been 7-0. All right, the meeting has adjourned.
Drive.